Right now on the National Weather Desk, a nor'easter is set to bring blizzard conditions to the Carolinas.
We've got heavy snow from Myrtle Beach to Wilmington up toward Cape Hatteras.
While record cold freezes Florida.
Maybe some Gulf effect snow flurries to the Tampa Bay area.
Linemen struggle with snow and ice as they work to restore power.
I'd rather do tornado 10-1 than ice storm.
While roofs collapse under the heavy weight of snow.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. We are tracking a nor'easter which is now primed to bring snow, strong winds, and coastal flooding from the Carolinas to New England this weekend. The storm will eventually intensify into a bomb cyclone, which means its pressure will drop at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. That means the storm will be intense. North Carolina's Outer Banks are expecting blizzard conditions tomorrow. Those powerful winds also increase the risk of beach erosion and could trigger coastal flooding. South Carolina meteorologist Ed Petrowski is tracking the storm along with when snow is expected to start falling.
Widespread snow in the Carolinas likely begins in the west here not long after sunrise through lunchtime. Then it spreads toward the coast, and by the end of the day, we've got heavy snow from Myrtle Beach to Wilmington up toward Cape Hatteras. In Cape Hatteras, they may experience a blizzard. Forecasts are indicating winds gusting 40s, perhaps into the 50s. Combine that with heavy snow and visibility is less than a quarter of a mile. If that happens for 3 consecutive hours, we've got a blizzard in the Outer Banks. Very, very rare event there. That storm system will continue to intensify and roll to the north and east. Snow mainly confined to the coastal communities here. You might see some snow in New York City. More likely, though, as you head toward eastern Mass, Nantucket likely sees heavy snow. Same for Boston, and down east Maine likely seeing some heavy snow as well. That will continue for Canada. Halifax likely getting a huge snow from this event. In terms of snow totals, 3 to 5 inches of snow in our area. Parts of eastern North Carolina could get up to 10 inches. Not much snow as you head through New Jersey and New York. Montauk may get 3 inches of snow. The jackpot for Massachusetts likely in Nantucket with nearly a foot. Down east Maine 3 to 4. And Halifax out here may get a foot of snow.
And in areas expected to get hit the hardest, like North Carolina, road preparations are well underway. Jordan Lucker spoke to officials outside Raleigh about the preparations.
A sight that has now become familiar to Pitt County residents for the past 2 weeks. North Carolina Department of Transportation trucks pre-treating the roads in preparation for winter weather.
So far we've placed over 60,000 gallons of brine. So I would say that we would probably get a little bit closer to 150, 200,000 gallons pre-treatment.
NCDOT maintenance engineer Anthony Mulligan says the trucks have been out since early Thursday morning for many of the same preparations as last week.
We may concentrate more on a certain location based off of where we expect to have the greatest impacts, but large part, it's going to be about the same.
He says in Pitt County they also have 8 trucks equipped with plows ready for any potential snowfall. He explains what the plowing process would look like if needed.
So we actually don't wait until the end. It's very important and very vital for us to actually get a good initial push as soon as we're starting to get some accumulation on these roads to go ahead and start plowing some of that stuff off. That way there it doesn't build up and create any hazards.
While a lot of work goes into making the roads safe, Mulligan emphasizes staying off the roads unless absolutely necessary for the safety of the public and DOT workers.
Now, just behind the storm is another Arctic blast of bitter Arctic air, and many cities are already feeling the big chill. From the Great Lakes to New England and the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic, wind chills are below zero this morning. More than 200 daily cold temperature records could fall just today. That cold air is likely to stick around until early next week, and it's not just the northern states feeling the cold. Meteorologist Lauren Oleski shows us some of the low temperature records that could fall in Florida.
Saturday night and into Sunday morning, that very, very cold air moves in and temperatures will plummet down into the 20s and 30s for Sunday morning. Very, very cold, nearly 30 degrees below average in a few spots. Again, 20s and 30s out there. Feeling, though, like the teens and 20s when you factor in that wind. We've got a very low wind chill, in that area. Temperatures will be, I don't even want to say close to records. These will be new record lows. Vero Beach, the record 29 degrees for Sunday morning. Your temperatures going down to 26. So we're going to break those daily record low temperatures for Sunday morning. It hasn't been this cold in about 16 years. The last time we saw temperatures dip down to these numbers was back in January of 2010.
Now, the bitter cold temperatures are making it even harder for crews working to restore power in the south. More than 200,000 homes and businesses are in their 6th day without power. Most of them are in Mississippi and Tennessee. And while Nashville's power company has faced tough questions about its preparations for the storm, the men and women in the field say weather conditions are making their jobs even harder. Madeline Nolan has more.
For these linemen, every repair starts with a journey. Icy back roads and steep hills are stopping heavy bucket trucks in their tracks, forcing crews to winch each other out or walk equipment in by hand. Veteran lineman Dwayne Tuberville says ice storms can turn simple repairs into a losing battle against falling trees.
Ice storms are terrible. I'd rather do tornado 10-to-1 than ice storm. Yeah, the first night we went on the line, put it up, and before we get turned around, the trees fell, tore it right back down. So you're just spinning your wheels.
He says many times they can't even drive to the damage, having to hike in and cut trees by hand. Utility leaders add that help from county and city road crews have also been critical to clear a path into these remote areas, and extra crews from out of state have also joined the effort. Still, after multiple 16-hour shifts in freezing conditions, linemen keep pushing until every last outage is cleared.
All the snow that fell last weekend is still causing some big problems. In Arkansas, the roof of a billiards hall collapsed under the weight of snow buildup. There are no reported injuries or deaths, and in Maine, the storm dumped 20 inches of snow just in some places alone. So where do the crews put all that snow and ice once it's off the streets? Well, meteorologist Ryan Munn has more.
It's been a busy week in Westbrook and across the state as crews work to clear roads and walkways.
You have your main roads you try to keep open for emergency vehicles, for people to travel. Once those are open, secondaries come next, and then sidewalks in conjunction with that. All of the snow that we're plowing from the edge of the road does go to the sidewalks, so we have to work in conjunction with our sidewalk units to make sure that those are cleared at the proper time. If we clear them too early, we're going to fill them right back in again.
Another concern for their team is ice buildup on their roads.
So one of the criteria for removing snow is not just the snow on top, but it's also the ice down below up against the curb lines, and also making sure our catch basins are open for if and when it does rain or for our snow melts.
If the catch basins are blocked, then there is the risk for ponding on the roadway, and it is important for the city to keep the fire hydrants clear in case of emergencies. Removing snow in the city of Westbrook is a long and grueling process that creates massive snow piles.
As winter goes on and we continue to remove more and more snow from the streets and pile it here, this pile is just going to continue to grow. Eventually we're going to get to a point where we're going to need a bulldozer to push it up.
Now, police still investigate crime even when snow-covered streets and sidewalks, and it just makes their jobs that much tougher. Nicole Mader shows us a tool officers in Providence, Rhode Island use to make their jobs easier.
A double shooting rescue in Providence made more challenging by more than a foot of snow. The roads on Erald Street were still snow-covered when emergency crews arrived.
Look at the paramedics running because they can't get down the street.
And the stairs of the house were icy. But the Providence Fire Department was prepared.
They prepared for those emergencies and they were ready for that winter weather.
Witnesses told us they didn't recognize the tools firefighters were using to carry the victims out of the house. Providence Fire Chief Derek Silva tells me it's called a mega mover.
Just seeing it from the side, it looks a little more daunting.
A white tarp they use instead of a stretcher.
The mega mover is a flexible plastic that has hand hooks on it so firefighters can carry a victim out quickly over snowbanks or over rough terrain.
And a father-son duo wasn't going to let a little ice get in the way of their hunting. They headed out on a lake in western Kentucky and crunched through the ice on their way to their duck hunting location. Certainly one of the more unusual hunting experiences in Kentucky. And for all the latest weather news and video, be sure to check us out on social media. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how fish waste is being used to grow vegetables in one Colorado town. And we'll help you better understand the wind chill.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. Expect a lot of sunshine in the Northeast today, but it's cold. Most towns will top out in the teens. Wind chill values will be colder than that. Saturday is the best and brightest part of the weekend. After another chilly start, most areas will warm into the teens and low 20s. Then as we go into Sunday, we're keeping a close eye on that storm system off to our south. It's going to be a massive storm. Our best chance for getting some heavy snow and strong winds will be down on Cape Cod in the islands.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region, staying very cold going through the next several days, but we are tracking a developing nor'easter. This will bring us a good chance of light snowfall south of Baltimore to parts of southern Maryland and into Virginia as we move into Saturday and Sunday, but it looks like at worst northern Maryland gets a glancing blow. We'll stay frigid cold through this time period. During the day, we may see highs only in the 20s, lows overnight in the single digits.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl for your afternoon high temperatures across the southeast on Friday. You can see where the front has made its way through. North of I-20, temperatures in the 30s, 40s, low 50s. South of the front, temperatures in the upper 50s, low 60s, and low 70s. We do see a little bit of an isolated rain chance across the southeast for your Friday. Some flurries possible in eastern North Carolina, western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, and then that front moves through Florida on Saturday.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Battle at WSET in Lynchburg, Virginia, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
Now, trees undergo lots of stress during the winter, from snow, sleet, and freezing rain and frigid temperatures. It even makes some loud sounds known as exploding. Known as exploding trees or frost cracking. Meteorologist Violet Schreiber explains how and why this happens.
The reason it gets that name is just because of the sound. That's because frost cracking can sound as loud as a gunshot. The reason this occurs is because of the sap inside of the trees freezing when it gets cold enough. And just like water, when sap freezes, it expands, putting internal pressure on the tree, sudden splitting, or even broken branches or broken completely. This also happens more frequently when we have big temperature fluctuations, from very warm days to extremely cold overnights. But how cold does it have to be exactly? Well, the freezing point for sap is lower than water. Temperatures have to be at -20 or colder. However, there are certain types of sap that have less sugar, that have a higher temperature that it needs to reach in order to get freezing. But overall, if you have that sap running during the daytime and it's liquid, once it freezes very quickly, that's when it expands rapidly, and we see that frost cracking. The most vulnerable trees are hardwood with thin bark, including maple, birches, and lindens. So you may want to head out to your yard and check out your trees to see if there's any crack or bark bulges. This is because once the frost cracking starts, they're prone to fungi, internal rot, insects, stunted growth, or even snapping branches could fall on your house. Deciduous trees are the most vulnerable.
For much of the country, cold has been the main weather headline, but in Reno, Nevada, it's all about the heat. The city is experiencing an unusually warm winter, with the city seeing temperatures more than 4 degrees above normal since December. Elizabeth Mitchell has more.
So far, Reno is 4.3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, which places it at the warmest winter, at least start to the winter so far. but there is more winter left.
While temperatures have been mild, snowpack tells a mixed story. Higher elevations like Mount Rose are sitting near normal, but as you move lower and farther west, snow totals drop significantly. The Central Sierra Snow Lab is currently around 60% of normal, and the forecast doesn't bring much relief.
Looking ahead for the next 2 weeks, it looks very meager, very limited potential for additional storms and snowpack. We may get a little bit in the coming days, but after that, it's another dry period, and that's a growing concern.
Meteorologist at the National Weather Service, Tony Fuentes, says the reason for such high temperatures is because of high pressure sitting over the west.
And we have this amplified pattern where we have just in general like a big ridge of high pressure stuck in the west. It's the opposite story out east. They've been seeing ice storms, winter storms, very cold temperatures, even down to the southern plains. So we're kind of opposite right now, where basically the atmosphere is very amplified. So we happen to be in that warm, dry sector.
In Washoe County, we have seen very little snow this winter, which Nevada State climatologist Baker Perry says is part of a broader trend.
We are seeing more rain as opposed to snow at these lower elevations, and certainly it's well understood now that Reno is one of the fastest warming cities in the United States too.
Meteorologists say a continued dry pattern could have consequences later this year. While soil moisture and reservoirs are in good shape for now, a lack of snowpack could impact runoff and increase wildfire risk during the summer months.
If we don't get more snowfall, as we know living here, that could bleed into more of an active fire season.
Now, one organization has taken a straightforward approach to helping feed people who live in food deserts. They grow food themselves. But as Lindsay Groh reports, they have a secret weapon that will surprise you.
Most of us don't think twice about shopping for fruits and veggies. But for many families on the southeast side, this can be easier said than done.
We have 2 grocery stores that serve 80,000 residents, and that is one of the characteristics that defines a food desert.
All of this was developed to be an oasis in this desert.
We're going to be able to produce year-round green vegetables and at least 400 to 500 heads of lettuce per week to our community.
All of that produce will be grown right here inside this greenhouse. And every week, items ready for harvest will be boxed up and distributed to food pantries, low-cost food centers, and even local grocers.
I feel like it's really important for families who are struggling financially, which is really common, to have options, to have really nutritious and organic food.
And the magic ingredient in all of this? Fish poop. That's right. What makes this more than just an ordinary greenhouse are the roughly 400 fish and their waste, allowing all of this produce to grow.
Fish waste actually produces ammonia, okay? So when they go to the bathroom, and then after they do, it gets sucked up into here and it settles out, goes into that first filter over there.
This one here?
Yeah. And then from there, it comes into our final filter, and that bacteria is converting the ammonia into nitrate for the plants, and all that nutrient-rich water gets fed to the lettuce.
So all of that growing over there is thanks to fish.
Yes.
That is amazing. People at today's grand opening told me that this creative solution to a problem represents what the southeast side of Colorado Springs is all about.
We have a passionate, caring community, and we all band together to help our community.
And of course, they all had praise for those little workers behind it all.
I'm really proud of the tilapia. You know, they're doing their job really well, and they're the best coworkers I could ever ask for.
And now let's get a look at a preview of this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar.
What if climate change was not something you had to make sense of on a graph or read about in the headlines? What if you could hear it? Global temperatures rising over land, ocean temperatures warming, sea levels rising. Climate data is everywhere. It fills reports, charts, computer models. But numbers alone do not always register on a human level.
People believe what they feel over what they think.
Sound works differently. It turns trends into tension. It makes patterns more personal.
What I'm trying to do here is attach feelings to this really alarming situation.
Today, we're going off the radar to listen to climate change. Not through words or graphs, but through music and sound created directly from the data.
And you can find Off the Radar anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. New episodes drop every Tuesday. And time now for a short break, but first we take in views of the Seattle skyline and beautiful Puget Sound.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We got a few light snow showers across portions of the plains for the day today, and also kicking down into Kentucky as we jump into the day. Tomorrow, snow starts to move in across the northern plains, kind of a wintry mix there up in the Dakotas. And as we continue to roll on into your Sunday, that shifts a little bit more over the upper Midwest and upper Great Lakes.
Good Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look to forecast across the region. Our next weather maker is another shot of Arctic air moving in. You see it moving through Little Rock and Oklahoma City by the afternoon. And then by that Saturday morning time frame, we're talking teens from Oklahoma City to Little Rock, 20s from Shreveport into the DFW area. And this front will continue to move south as we head through the weekend. Not really bringing much of a rain or snow chance. It's a mainly dry front across the region.
Hi there, everybody, and a good Friday morning to you. TGIF. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we continue to balance out the cold everywhere else with warmth, especially in the southern deserts. We'll end up well into the 80s today around San Diego and Palm Springs, 78 in Phoenix. Spring training just around the corner, and it's starting to feel like it. 30s, meanwhile, in Jackson, 50s around Seattle and Portland. Big disturbance again pushing into the Pacific Northwest and especially British Columbia. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Now, this weekend storm will bring cold temperatures, but how could that feel isn't just about number on the thermometer. Wind plays a major role. Meteorologist Emma Kate Cowan explains.
Well, let's start with when there's no wind, okay? Temperatures obviously are still going to be cold. If it's 20 degrees outside, you're thinking, I need to wear all those extra layers, right? Well, also on top of the layers that we're bundled up in, our bodies have this own layer of heat, or at least trying to trap in any heat that our body makes to at least keep us a little bit warmer. But when the winds ramp up, it basically swipes away any of that body heat away and makes it feel even colder. And that's why it can be dangerous when you're outside in those conditions. Kind of think of it like you're riding a bike, right? You're riding a bike, you have the breeze, it feels cooler. If you stop riding the bike and then stand still, it's probably not going to feel quite as cool because you don't have that wind taking away your body's heat. So when we're talking about wind chill into the upcoming weekend, just explaining how cold it could feel to your body, keep that in the back of your mind, and that might motivate you to either stay inside or throw in all the extra layers.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Make it a great Friday. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.